Welcome to the Middle Book, the channel where you awaken your mind and elevate your soul. The Other Side. Introduction. Throughout history, there have been whispers of an unseen force guiding human destiny. Mystics, sages, and spiritual seekers across cultures have spoken of an intelligence beyond the physical world, an omnipresent wisdom that shapes reality, orchestrates synchronicities, and offers guidance to those who learn to listen. The ancient Egyptians called it Ma'at, the cosmic order that governs all things. In India, it was known as Brahman, the infinite consciousness that pervades existence. Greek philosophers like Plato referred to it as the Nous, the divine mind that infuses the universe with meaning. Religions and esoteric traditions across time have pointed to this hidden force, each offering their own interpretation. The Bible speaks of the still small voice of divine wisdom. Sufi mystics of Islam describe it as the breath of the beloved, a silent yet all-encompassing presence. The Taoists of ancient China observed it in the effortless flow of nature. The Tao, the unspoken way that governs all things without force. Even indigenous shamans from the Amazon to Siberia have long understood this presence, communing with the unseen realms to receive insights, heal, and navigate the challenges of life. However, while these traditions recognize and work with this intelligence, modern society has largely forgotten how to access it. We have become disconnected, distracted by the noise of the material world, taught to rely solely on logic and external authorities while ignoring the vast wellspring of wisdom within. The truth is that this infinite source of intelligence has never been reserved for a select few. It has always been available to everyone. However, few know how to use it. Now, as we stand on the edge of a new awakening, where ancient knowledge meets modern understanding, science is beginning to confirm what the mystics always knew. Quantum physics now suggests that all things are connected through an unseen field of energy, what some call the zero-point field or the quantum consciousness. Neuroscientists have discovered that altered states of consciousness, long accessed by spiritual practitioners, enhance creativity, intuition, and problem-solving, tapping into something beyond ordinary awareness. The teachings of Jose Silva, a man who not only recognized these facts, but also devised a practical strategy to enable people to access this latent wisdom, are the foundation of this audiobook. Anyone may learn to access this huge field of information, according to Silva's revolutionary research on the alpha state, a calm, yet intensely concentrated mental frequency. He demonstrated how a well-trained mind can be an effective instrument for resolving issues, healing, and attracting success. His approach shows how to tune out the cacophony of everyday thought, connect with the higher intelligence that creates reality, and use this energy to accomplish both personal and professional objectives. You can realize your entire potential and start living with purpose, clarity, and seamless synchronicity by becoming proficient in this level of consciousness. What if you could learn to harness this hidden force? What if you could receive guidance, inspiration, and solutions from beyond the limitations of your rational mind? The great minds of history, Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, Carl Jung, understood that true genius arises not just from intellect, but from tapping into a source greater than oneself. They knew how to listen, how to access what the modern world has forgotten. This audiobook is your guide to remembering, to awaken this dormant power within you, to step into alignment with the intelligence that has always been present, waiting for you to recognize its voice. If you found this audiobook valuable, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Your support helps bring more content like this to you. Thank you. Chapter 1. The Nature of Reality and the Invisible Forces Around Us. Since the dawn of time, humanity has sensed that there is more to existence than what meets the eye. Beneath the surface of the physical world, beyond the realm of tangible matter, lies a vast and intricate web of unseen forces that shape reality. This has been the foundation of spiritual traditions, mystical teachings, and esoteric wisdom for centuries. But while ancient civilizations accepted these hidden forces as an integral part of life, modern society has largely lost touch with them, reducing reality to what can be measured, quantified, and explained through material science. Yet whispers of something greater persist, waiting for those willing to listen. The idea that an invisible intelligence guides life is not new. The ancient Egyptians structured their entire civilization around the concept of Ma'at, the divine order that balanced the universe. In India, the Vedic text spoke of Brahman, the infinite and eternal consciousness from which all things emerge. The Greeks believed in the Nous, a cosmic intelligence that infused the world with wisdom. Across continents and millennia, cultures have recognized that reality is more than just physical matter, that a deeper force, an unseen current, moves through all things. Despite its tendency toward materialism, science is starting to catch up to what the ancients already knew. According to quantum physics, reality is composed of vibrating energy fields rather than solid matter. When the matter is closely studied, it collapses into a sea of probability and exhibits illogical behavior that calls into question the concept of objective reality itself. Particles alter their behavior just by being watched, according to the well-known double-slit experiment, suggesting that consciousness itself shapes the physical universe. This insight is in line with Eastern mysticism's teachings, which have long held that reality is something we actively create rather than something that exists outside of us. But what does this mean for the individual? If reality is fluid, influenced by consciousness, and shaped by unseen forces, then human beings are not just passive observers in the universe. We are co-creators. Our thoughts, emotions, and intentions interact with this hidden field of intelligence, subtly guiding the circumstances of our lives. This is why some people seem to move through life effortlessly, attracting the right opportunities and making intuitive decisions that lead to success, while others struggle against unseen obstacles. The difference lies not in luck or fate, but in alignment with the hidden forces that govern existence. This is where the power of the mind becomes essential. The brain, often seen as nothing more than a biological computer, is in reality a sophisticated transmitter and receiver of information, capable of tuning into the vast intelligence that pervades the universe. However, most people only operate with a fraction of their true potential, relying almost exclusively on the analytical, logical left hemisphere while neglecting the intuitive, creative right hemisphere. Ancient wisdom traditions have always emphasized the importance of balance, of uniting the rational with the mystical, the seen with the unseen. Modern neuroscience now confirms that those who cultivate the right hemisphere, whether through meditation, visualization, or deep states of relaxation, are able to access higher levels of intuition, creativity, and insight. When the mind is taught correctly, it can serve as a bridge connecting the known and the unknown, the visible and the invisible. The secret to comprehending the unseen forces that mold reality is this. This idea was comprehended by the great visionaries of history, such as Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, and Albert Einstein, who frequently described inspiration as emanating from somewhere outside of themselves, as though they were simply tuning into a higher intelligence. Specifically, Tesla claimed to have received complete innovations in epiphanies, completely developed in his brain before ever laying eyes on a blueprint. The idea that the greatest brains in history were not just thinking but were accessing something beyond cognition was further supported by Einstein's claim that his greatest discoveries were the result of his imagination rather than logical argument. The ability to tap into this hidden intelligence is not limited to geniuses or mystics. It is an inherent capacity within every human being. But, like any skill, it must be cultivated. The first step is to acknowledge that reality is far more fluid and interconnected than we have been taught. The second step is to begin training the mind to perceive beyond the physical, to quiet the noise of everyday distractions, and tune into the subtle whispers of intuition. Those who learn to do this often find that life begins to shift in extraordinary ways, problems resolve themselves effortlessly, guidance appears in unexpected forms, and a sense of deep inner knowing replaces uncertainty and fear. The unseen forces that shape reality are not a mystery to be feared or dismissed, but a source of infinite potential waiting to be harnessed. The ancients knew it, the mystics experienced it, and now science is beginning to validate it. The only question that remains is whether you are ready to awaken to it. Chapter 2. The Mind as a Gateway to Higher Intelligence. The human mind is more than just a processor of thoughts. It is a bridge between the physical and the unseen, a conduit for a higher intelligence that has guided humanity throughout history. Across cultures and traditions, there have always been those who have accessed something beyond ordinary awareness. Prophets, sages, inventors, and mystics who seem to possess knowledge that could not have come from conventional learning alone. Their insights, whether scientific, philosophical, or spiritual, were often received in moments of deep contemplation or altered states of consciousness. They did not create these ideas, they received them. This ability to access higher intelligence is not reserved for a gifted few. Every human being has the capacity to connect with something greater, to open a channel to wisdom that exists beyond the individual self. The challenge is that most people have forgotten how to listen. The modern world is designed to keep the mind occupied with external distractions, drowning out the subtle guidance that is always present. Ancient traditions understood the necessity of silence, meditation, and deep inner focus as tools for attuning to higher realms of consciousness. Today, neuroscience is beginning to confirm what spiritual masters have always known. When the mind enters certain states, it becomes receptive to information that does not originate from personal memory or experience. The brain itself is divided into two hemispheres, each with distinct functions. The left hemisphere is analytical, logical, and language-driven, responsible for reasoning and structured thought. It categorizes, organizes, and dissects reality into understandable fragments. This is the side of the brain that modern education and society have prioritized, training individuals to think in linear, structured ways. However, there is another side of the brain, one that operates in a vastly different manner. The right hemisphere is holistic, intuitive, and imaginative. It perceives patterns, synthesizes information, and connects seemingly unrelated ideas. This is the seat of creativity, insight, and deep intuition. The part of the mind that does not analyze but simply knows. In ancient times, both aspects of the brain were nurtured and cultivated. Shamans, priests, and healers understood the power of the intuitive mind and developed rituals to access its wisdom. Civilizations such as the Egyptians and the Hindus built entire spiritual systems around achieving altered states of consciousness, recognizing that these states provided access to realms of knowledge beyond ordinary perception. In contrast, modern society has dismissed the intuitive mind as unreliable, favoring cold logic and measurable data over inner knowing. The result is a disconnection from the vast intelligence that surrounds us, a narrowing of perception that leaves many feeling lost, uncertain, and uninspired. However, the ability to access this intelligence has never disappeared. It only requires a shift in how the mind is used. The key lies in learning how to quiet the overactive left hemisphere and activate the right, creating a state of balance where both aspects of consciousness work together. This is the principle behind many forms of meditation, visualization, and deep relaxation techniques. When the brain enters a slower, more receptive frequency, such as the alpha state, it becomes attuned to information beyond the conscious mind. This is why moments of great inspiration often occur in states of deep relaxation or just before sleep, when the mind is no longer tightly controlled by logical thought. The right hemisphere does not communicate in words, but in images, feelings, and sudden flashes of insight. It speaks through dreams, intuition, and moments of knowing that defy explanation. This is why creative breakthroughs, scientific discoveries, and spiritual revelations often come in sudden, unexpected moments. Many of history's greatest minds, Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, and Carl Jung, understood this process and deliberately cultivated conditions that allowed their minds to receive higher insights. They knew that knowledge was not always something to be gathered, but something to be accessed. When the mind is properly trained, it becomes a powerful receiver, capable of tuning into wisdom that lies beyond personal experience. This is not mere speculation, but a reality that has been demonstrated in countless ways. The subconscious mind is capable of solving complex problems without conscious effort, finding answers that seem to emerge from nowhere. Many people have experienced moments where a solution suddenly appears after they stop thinking about the problem, as if the mind was working on a deeper level beyond awareness. If this intelligence is always available, why do so few access it consciously? The reason is simple. Most people never learn how. The mind is like a muscle, and without proper training, it remains weak and unfocused. To access higher intelligence, one must first learn how to quiet the noise of everyday thought, to enter a state where the intuitive mind can emerge. This is why so many ancient traditions emphasize meditation, prayer, and visualization as essential practices. These are not superstitions, but tools designed to shift the mind into a state where it can connect with something greater. Since there are so many distractions in the current world, it is more difficult to spontaneously reach this condition. The pressures of everyday life, the constant barrage of information, and the excessive use of analysis and reasoning have produced a setting that stifles the intuitive mind. However, individuals who are able to overcome this training find something remarkable. The mind is far more powerful than we have been taught. With the right direction, it may access inspiration, direction, and nearly miraculous answers. The human mind naturally has the capacity to communicate with higher intelligence. It is not a supernatural gift. The difficulty lies not in mastering this skill, but rather in retaining its use. The universe's knowledge is always there, only waiting for someone who is ready to listen. The trip starts with a straightforward realization. You already possess the answers you're looking for. They're only waiting to be discovered. Chapter 3. What is the other side? The idea of an unseen realm beyond the physical world has existed for as long as human consciousness has been able to question its own existence. Every culture, every civilization, and every mystical tradition has attempted to define it, to explain what lies beyond the veil of ordinary perception. Some call it the divine, others refer to it as the spiritual realm, while modern science is beginning to describe it as a field of infinite intelligence that permeates all things. But regardless of the name given to it, one truth remains unchanged. There is more to reality than what the five senses perceive, and this hidden dimension is not separate from us, but deeply intertwined with our existence. Many have been conditioned to think of the other side as something distant, as a place beyond reach, reserved for the afterlife, or accessible only to saints and mystics. Religions have described it as the domain of angels and divine beings, while spiritual traditions have portrayed it as a higher vibrational state of consciousness. Yet, those who have learned to quiet their minds and expand their awareness know that this unseen world is not elsewhere. It is here now, existing parallel to our own reality, influencing it in ways most people never realize. Throughout history, some people have been able to connect these two worlds, drawing on wisdom and understanding that goes beyond their own. Prophecies, visions, and enlightened beings have all mentioned receiving advice from an invisible source, messages that come from direct understanding rather than traditional education. There have also been hints of this unseen intellect from the great thinkers in philosophy and science. Often, Nikola Tesla said that his ideas came completely formed, as though they were sent from another dimension. According to Carl Jung, the collective unconscious is a huge information base that exists outside of people's individual minds. Many writers, singers, and artists have said that their deepest inspirations came through them. That is, they weren't intentionally made. The connection to this hidden reality is not a mystery, nor is it reserved for a special few. The truth is that every human being is already connected to the other side, but few know how to listen. The mind is constantly receiving signals, subtle impressions, and intuitive nudges from this deeper source of intelligence. The problem is that most people are too distracted, too caught up in the noise of everyday life, to recognize these messages for what they are. They dismiss sudden insights as coincidence, ignore gut feelings, and suppress the quiet knowing that arises within them. Yet the signs are always there, a thought that appears just when it is needed, a dream that reveals a hidden truth, a chance encounter that changes the course of a life. The other side communicates in ways that are not always obvious, but for those who learn to pay attention, the guidance becomes unmistakable. It speaks in the language of intuition, synchronicity, and deep inner knowing. It is the voice that whispers when logic fails, the presence that reassures in moments of uncertainty. There are those who hesitate to embrace this concept, fearing that it conflicts with their religious or scientific beliefs. But to understand the other side does not require abandoning faith or rejecting reason. In fact, it is precisely through faith and reason working together that the greatest discoveries are made. The spiritual and the scientific are not opposing forces, but two aspects of the same truth. What religion calls divine intelligence, science now describes as the quantum field, an interconnected web of energy and information that influences all things. The realization that reality is not fixed, that consciousness plays a fundamental role in shaping experience, brings us closer to understanding what the mystics have always known, that the universe is alive, intelligent, and responsive to those who seek its guidance. The other side is not just a place or a concept, it is a state of being. It is the part of reality that operates beyond linear time and physical space, where past, present, and future merge into a single continuum. It is the creative source from which all ideas, all inspiration, and all profound wisdom arise. And most importantly, it is accessible, not through elaborate rituals or years of ascetic discipline, but through the simple act of tuning in, quieting the restless mind, and opening oneself to the unseen currents of intelligence that flow through all things. Unaware that the greatest source of wisdom is already within them, many people spend their lives hunting for solutions in the outside world, in books, teachers, and philosophies. The other half is inside, only waiting to be acknowledged, not outside. Going anywhere is not necessary to access it. Instead, one must raise their awareness to a higher plane of vision. Re-establishing contact with this hidden intelligence is more important than ever as mankind enters a new era. Technology, reasoning, or intelligence alone cannot address the problems of the modern world. They call for a more profound comprehension, a wisdom that surpasses the confines of the physical mind. The answers to life's biggest issues originate internally, from the same source that has steered humanity for thousands of years, rather than from external forces. Those who learn to access the other side, who learn to trust the insights that arise beyond rational thought, begin to experience life in an entirely new way. Decisions become effortless, creativity flows without struggle, and a profound sense of peace replaces the anxiety of uncertainty. They move through the world with quiet confidence, knowing that they are never truly alone and that an unseen force is always guiding them. The question is not whether the other side exists, but whether you are willing to open yourself to it. It is already speaking. The only thing left is to learn how to listen. Chapter 4. Entering the Alpha State, the bridge between worlds. The mind is constantly active, shifting between different states of awareness throughout the day, yet few people ever stop to consider how these mental states shape their reality. The difference between confusion and clarity, struggle and flow, chaos and harmony, often lies not in external circumstances, but in the frequency at which the brain operates. To access the deeper intelligence that lies beyond the rational mind, one must first learn how to shift into a state where intuition, creativity, and higher awareness become available. This is the alpha state, a bridge between the conscious and the subconscious mind, the physical and the unseen, the world of logic and the realm of infinite intelligence. From the moment a person wakes up, their brain is engaged in ceaseless activity, filtering information, solving problems, and reacting to the environment. The dominant state of consciousness in daily life is the beta state, where the mind is alert, analytical, and outwardly focused. While necessary for functioning in the world, this state can also be a trap, keeping people locked in rigid thought patterns and disconnected from deeper wisdom. The more stress, worry, and overthinking take hold, the harder it becomes to access creative insights, inner guidance, or solutions that seem to arrive effortlessly. Throughout history, sages and mystics have sought ways to quiet the noise of ordinary awareness. recognizing that true wisdom does not emerge from endless mental effort, but from stillness and receptivity. Meditation, prayer, chanting, and trance-like rituals were all designed to slow the frequency of brain activity, allowing the mind to enter a more fluid and intuitive state. Modern science now confirms what these ancient traditions always knew. The brain, when it slows to a rhythm of about 7 to 14 cycles per second, the alpha state, becomes highly receptive to new insights, deeper intuition, and even information that appears to come from beyond the self. The alpha state is the gateway to expanded awareness, where the rigid boundaries of the conscious mind dissolve and a connection to the subconscious and the higher self is established. It is in this state that problems suddenly find solutions, that intuition speaks louder than doubt, and that the limitations of logic give way to a vast ocean of creative potential. It is here that the unseen forces guiding reality become more accessible, revealing themselves through flashes of insight, sudden inspiration, and an effortless sense of knowing. Many of the greatest breakthroughs in history, scientific discoveries, artistic masterpieces, revolutionary ideas, have emerged not from a frantic search for answers, but from moments of deep relaxation and altered awareness. Archimedes' legendary Eureka moment, Einstein's visions of relativity, Tesla's fully formed inventions appearing in his mind. Each of these was the result of a mind shifting into a different state of perception. These individuals had trained themselves, whether knowingly or not, to access the alpha state, allowing them to tap into something greater than themselves. The transition into this state is not difficult, yet it requires an understanding of how to disengage from the constant mental chatter that dominates daily life. The breath slows, the body relaxes, and the focus turns inward. With each passing moment, the external world fades slightly, and the deeper layers of consciousness begin to emerge. In this state, the mind is no longer merely processing surface-level thoughts. It is reaching into the deeper realms where intuition, higher intelligence, and creative problem-solving originate. The more one practices entering this state, the easier it becomes to slip into it at will. Over time, moments of sudden insight and spontaneous intuition become more frequent. The mind, once rigidly confined to logic and analysis, begins to trust the subtle yet powerful flow of intuitive knowing. Decisions are no longer made through struggle and overthinking, but through an effortless sense of alignment with greater intelligence. The alpha state is not just a tool for creativity or problem-solving, it is a doorway to something much greater. It is a space where communication with the other side, the unseen forces of wisdom, guidance, and higher consciousness, becomes possible. Those who learn to cultivate this state often find that life itself begins to transform, that answers come before questions are fully formed, and that an invisible hand seems to be at work in shaping events and guiding their path. What was once dismissed as coincidence begins to reveal itself as synchronicity. What once seemed like an unfathomable mystery becomes a direct experience of higher intelligence. The other side is not something distant or inaccessible. It is always present, always communicating. The key to hearing its guidance lies in learning to enter the state where its voice can be recognized. The process is simple, yet its effects are profound. By shifting the frequency of the mind, by quieting the noise of everyday thought, by allowing intuition to rise above the doubts of the logical mind, one begins to experience reality in an entirely new way. The answers, the guidance, the insights that once seemed elusive were never out of reach. They were simply waiting for the mind to slow down, to listen, and to receive. Chapter 5. The Art of Mental Programming and Visualization. The mind is a tool far more powerful than most people realize. It is not merely an instrument for thinking, analyzing, or recalling memories. It is a force that shapes reality. Throughout history, mystics and sages have understood this truth, teaching that thoughts are not passive, but active forces that influence both internal and external circumstances. In modern times, this knowledge has been rediscovered through the study of mental programming and visualization, revealing that the mind, when properly directed, has the ability to create, transform, and manifest experiences in ways that defy conventional logic. Everything that exists in the physical world first existed in the realm of thought. Every great invention, every work of art, and every technological breakthrough began as an idea, a mental image held in the mind of its creator. But while most people acknowledge this process in the context of human achievement, few recognize that the same principle applies to their own lives. What a person consistently holds in their mind, whether consciously or unconsciously, eventually takes form in their external reality. This is why those who dwell on worry and fear often find themselves caught in cycles of misfortune, while those who focus on success and possibility seem to attract opportunities effortlessly. The mind, like a fertile field, does not discriminate between seeds of hope and seeds of doubt. It simply nurtures whatever is planted within it. The ability to modify the subconscious mind is what gives mental programming its strength. The subconscious controls behavior, emotions, and deeply held beliefs, whereas the conscious mind is in charge of rational cognition and decision-making. This hidden aspect of the mind functions like a huge, unrealized reservoir of potential that, with the right guidance, may accomplish amazing things. Additionally, it serves as a direct conduit between the individual and the universe's invisible intelligence. The subconscious starts to function in harmony with this higher intellect when it is programmed with deliberate and clear thought, causing things to happen that result in the achievement of one's goals. Visualization is one of the most powerful methods for reprogramming the subconscious mind. By creating vivid mental images of desired outcomes, a person communicates directly with the deeper layers of consciousness, impressing upon them a new reality. The mind does not distinguish between real experiences and imagined ones. It simply responds to whatever is presented with enough clarity and emotion. This is why elite athletes use visualization techniques to enhance performance, why successful entrepreneurs mentally rehearse their victories before they occur, and why spiritual masters have long used guided imagery to access deeper states of awareness. The act of seeing something in the mind's eye, feeling it as if it has already happened, and believing in its reality creates an energetic blueprint that the universe begins to follow. There is no need for force or conflict in the mental programming process. It is not about trying to influence outside events or being fixated on a goal. Rather, it involves achieving a profound state of calm, enabling the mind to become open, and confidently and clearly sowing the seeds of purpose. This is why methods like self-hypnosis and meditation work so well. They reduce the cacophony of daily thoughts, drop the brain's frequency to the alpha state, and establish the ideal environment for subconscious change. In this condition, thoughts transform from transient notions into directives that guide the invisible forces of reality to achieve their goals. Those who are adept at this discipline appear to handle life with ease for a reason. They create conditions rather than responding to them. They align themselves with the flow of a higher intelligence rather than letting chance determine their fate. They are aware that the mind is an active participant in the course of events rather than a passive observer, and that reality is flexible rather than fixed. The thoughts, beliefs, and mental images that are most persistently held within are reflected back by the outside world, which turns into a mirror. Doubt and skepticism are the greatest obstacles to this process. Many people dismiss visualization as mere fantasy, failing to realize that the act of disbelief is itself a form of programming. To doubt is to create resistance, to introduce conflict into the mind, to plant seeds of uncertainty that the subconscious will nurture just as readily as it would nurture confidence and certainty. Those who achieve the greatest results with mental programming are those who allow themselves to believe without hesitation, who immerse themselves fully in the reality they are creating before it has physically manifested. This is not blind faith. It is an understanding of how the mind interacts with the unseen forces that shape reality. With practice, visualization and mental programming become second nature. No longer confined to structured sessions of meditation, they become an ongoing way of thinking and perceiving the world. A person begins to naturally replace doubt with certainty, fear with trust, hesitation with confidence. They become aware of the subtle guidance that is always present, recognizing signs, synchronicities, and intuitive nudges that confirm they are on the right path. They no longer wait for life to happen to them. They shape it with intention, clarity, and an unwavering belief in the power of the mind. The ability to program reality through thought is not a mystical secret hidden away in ancient texts or known only to a select few. It is a natural capacity of the human mind, available to anyone willing to use it. The question is not whether it works, but whether one is willing to let go of old patterns of limitation and embrace the truth that thoughts are the architects of existence. The mind is a doorway, and the key to opening it lies in the simple yet profound act of seeing, believing, and allowing the unseen to take form. Chapter 6. Strengthening your connection with the higher self. There is a part of every human being that exists beyond the noise of daily thoughts, beyond the worries, the doubts, and the conditioned beliefs that shape ordinary perception. This deeper presence, often referred to as the higher self, is the aspect of consciousness that remains connected to the vast intelligence of the universe. It is not separate from the individual, yet it is often drowned out by the distractions of modern life. Those who learn to quiet the mind and attune themselves to this inner source of wisdom find that guidance, insight, and clarity begin to emerge effortlessly, as if a forgotten voice is finally being heard again. Throughout history, spiritual traditions have spoken of this higher self under many names. In Eastern philosophy, it is the Atman, the eternal self that exists beyond the temporary identity of the physical form. In Western mystical traditions, it has been called the divine spark, the soul's true essence. In modern psychological thought, it is the deeper intuition that seems to know things without logical explanation. Regardless of the terminology, the experience is the same. When the connection to the higher self is strong, life flows with a sense of purpose and synchronicity. When this connection is weak, confusion, frustration, and a sense of disconnection from meaning take hold. Many people go through life unaware that this part of themselves even exists. They rely solely on intellect and external validation, looking for answers in books, teachers, or societal expectations, while ignoring the wisdom that arises from within. But there are moments, often in times of crisis or profound stillness, when the higher self makes itself known. A sudden insight that resolves a long-standing problem, a gut feeling that proves to be correct despite all rational arguments, a dream that provides clarity, as if a message has been delivered from beyond. These experiences are glimpses of the deeper intelligence that is always present, waiting for attention. Realizing that the higher self has always existed is the first step toward fortifying the bond with it. It has consistently been present, whispering, nudging, and directing. Awareness is the sole thing that separates people who feel lost from those who live in harmony with this intellect. This inner voice gets louder the more one learns to listen. The problem is that individuals are conditioned by the modern society to disregard the calm knowing that does not originate from outside sources, to reject subtle perceptions as imagination, and to believe reason over intuition. Developing a condition of inner stillness is the first step in re-establishing a connection with the higher self. The mind produces interference that makes it difficult to receive clear direction when it is overactive, distracted, and overanalyzing every event. Because they make room for the higher self to be heard, meditation, profound relaxation, and deliberate quiet times are extremely effective. It gets simpler to identify when genuine intuition is speaking the more one practices achieving this state. It is not the voice of dread, nor is it the flurry of thoughts and ideas. It is a profound, serene conviction, an unwavering knowing that emerges spontaneously. Life starts to unfold in a way that feels led once this connection is strengthened. The frequency of synchronicities increases, as though invisible forces are perfectly aligning events. Decisions are no longer hampered by uncertainty or hesitation. Once insurmountable obstacles start to disappear, not because the outside world has changed, but rather because people's perspectives have evolved. The higher self does not argue, convince, or insist, nor does it offer advice in the manner that the logical mind would anticipate. It just shows the route in a way that seems inherently correct. There is a profound shift that occurs when a person moves from seeking answers outside themselves to trusting the wisdom that comes from within. They stop looking for validation, stop questioning whether they are making the right choices, and instead move forward with confidence. The higher self does not operate from fear or scarcity. It exists in a state of infinite possibility. When aligned with this intelligence, life ceases to feel like a struggle and instead becomes a dance with the unseen, a co-creation with the deeper forces of the universe. This connection is not something that needs to be created. It only needs to be remembered. The distractions of the external world may have buried it, but it has never been lost. Every person has the ability to strengthen this connection, to quiet the noise and hear the voice that has been guiding them all along. It is not about learning something new, but about unlearning the doubts and limitations that have obscured the truth. The higher self is always present, always speaking. The only question is whether one is willing to listen. Chapter 7. Healing the Mind and Body with Conscious Awareness. The body is not separate from the mind. Every thought, emotion, and belief that passes through consciousness leaves an imprint, shaping physical well-being in ways that modern science is only beginning to understand. Ancient healing traditions have long recognized this connection, teaching that illness is not merely a dysfunction of the body, but often a reflection of disharmony within the mind. Today, research into psychosomatic medicine, quantum biology, and neuroplasticity confirms what mystics have always known: what the mind believes, the body responds to. Those who learn to harness this understanding can unlock the profound ability to influence their own health, using conscious awareness as a tool for healing. A holistic approach to healing has been taken by many civilizations throughout history, viewing the person as an interrelated system of energy, thought, and physical form. According to traditional Chinese medicine, QE, the vital life force that permeates the body is only disturbed when emotional or mental imbalances obstruct its course. According to the ancient Indian study of life, Ayurveda, illness develops when the body-mind balance is upset. Since illness frequently starts in the unseen world of thought before showing up physically, indigenous shamans have long employed visualization, altered states of consciousness, and the power of intention to restore health. The mind's influence over the body is not mystical, it is a biological reality. Studies on the placebo effect reveal how belief alone can trigger measurable healing responses. Patients given a simple sugar pill, when convinced they are receiving medicine, often experience real improvements in their condition. Their bodies respond not to the chemical properties of a drug, but to the expectation of healing. This phenomenon is not an anomaly. It is evidence that the subconscious mind holds incredible power over physiological processes. The immune system, hormonal balance, and even cellular regeneration are all influenced by the mental state of an individual. Those who cultivate a mindset of health, optimism, and inner harmony often recover from illness more rapidly than those who are consumed by fear, stress, or despair. Healing begins with awareness. Many people live in a state of disconnection from their own bodies, treating symptoms as isolated problems rather than messages from within. Pain, fatigue, and chronic illness are not simply random occurrences. They are signals guiding individuals toward a deeper understanding of what needs to be addressed. Ignoring these signals, suppressing them with medication, or resigning oneself to illness without examining its mental and emotional roots prevents true healing from taking place. The body is always communicating, but few take the time to listen. By entering a relaxed state, one where the mind is receptive and the body is free of tension, a person creates the conditions necessary for self-healing. The alpha state, the same brainwave frequency used for deep meditation and creative visualization, is also the optimal state for initiating change within the body. In this state, stress hormones decrease, the immune system strengthens, and the body enters a phase of repair and regeneration. Visualization techniques, where one mentally sees and feels the body healing itself, have been used successfully in everything from pain reduction to accelerating recovery from major illnesses. Just as the mind can create disease through stress worry, and negative beliefs. It can also restore health through focused intention and mental clarity. There are countless documented cases of individuals overcoming serious illnesses through the power of the mind. Some have used visualization to shrink tumors, imagining their cells regenerating with perfect health. Others have used deep relaxation techniques to recover from injuries faster than medical predictions. While conventional medicine focuses on treating the body from the outside, true healing happens from within. Those who take an active role in their healing process, rather than viewing themselves as victims of circumstance, often experience dramatic improvements. The body follows the mind's instructions, whether those instructions are rooted in fear and illness or in confidence and well-being. The path to healing is not simply about erasing symptoms, it is about returning to a state of balance. True health is more than the absence of disease. It is a state of vibrancy, clarity, and alignment with one's highest self. By shifting perception, releasing limiting beliefs, and aligning thoughts with wellness rather than illness, the mind becomes a powerful ally in the healing journey. The connection between consciousness and the body is not a theory. It is a lived experience, available to anyone willing to embrace it. Healing is not something that happens to you. It is something that you create from within, with the limitless power of your own mind. Chapter 8. Using Higher Intelligence for Success and Fulfillment. Success is not simply the result of hard work, luck, or external circumstances. It is a state of alignment between the mind and the unseen forces that shape reality. Those who achieve extraordinary things do not do so by chance. They have learned, whether consciously or unconsciously, to connect with a greater intelligence that guides their decisions, sharpens their intuition, and places them in the right situations at the right time. Some call it divine inspiration, others refer to it as the subconscious mind at work. But the essence remains the same. The ability to access a source of wisdom beyond ordinary thought is what separates those who struggle from those who move through life with effortless precision. Throughout history, the most successful individuals have demonstrated an uncanny ability to foresee opportunities before they arise, make bold decisions with unshakable confidence, and persist in the face of obstacles that would discourage others. This is not mere optimism or blind determination. It is the result of an internal connection to an intelligence that operates beyond logic and reason. Many of the greatest minds in business, science, and the arts have spoken of moments where ideas seemed to come to them fully formed, where solutions appeared effortlessly, as if whispered by an unseen force. They were not just using intellect, they were tuning in to something greater. The conventional approach to success often relies solely on logical analysis, strategic planning, and relentless action. While these are valuable tools, they are limited. The conscious mind, no matter how intelligent, can only process a fraction of the information available at any given moment. It is slow, analytical, and easily overwhelmed. The subconscious mind, however, operates on an entirely different level. It processes vast amounts of information, recognizes patterns before they are consciously perceived, and has direct access to the creative field that shapes reality. Those who learn to access this part of themselves make decisions not from a place of hesitation and doubt, but from clarity and certainty. Many people seek success by following external formulas, trying to replicate what others have done, yet they fail to recognize that true achievement is an internal process. Success begins not with external action, but with internal alignment. When the mind is programmed for success, when it believes without doubt in the inevitability of achievement, the external world begins to mirror that belief. Opportunities arise, doors open, and the right people appear seemingly out of nowhere. This is not magic. It is the natural consequence of aligning thought with intention, of allowing the subconscious mind to work in harmony with the deeper intelligence that governs reality. The biggest barriers to achievement are uncertainty and fear. Uncertainty in the mind causes the subconscious to receive contradictory impulses, which leads to resistance. This is the reason so many individuals struggle. Although they may have a conscious desire for achievement, their underlying beliefs are based on limitations, failure-related dread, and feelings of unworthiness. Consistently obeying instructions, whether or not they are deliberate, is what the subconscious mind does. People that do great things are just more aligned, not necessarily more gifted or diligent. They have mastered the ability to trust the flow of intelligence that propels them forward and to remove the mental obstacles that prevent others from moving forward. Learning to access higher intelligence for success is not about abandoning logic or action. It is about using them in harmony with intuition. The most effective decisions are not made through overthinking, but through a quiet certainty that arises from within. Those who cultivate this connection often speak of moments where they just knew what to do, where the right choice was obvious, even without all the facts. These moments are not coincidences. They are the result of being tuned in to the deeper forces that shape reality. The path to success is not about struggle or forcing outcomes, but about learning to move with the flow of life rather than against it. When a person learns to trust the signals of their higher mind, when they release the doubts that cloud their vision, success stops being something that must be chased and instead becomes something that unfolds naturally. The greatest achievements come not from fear-driven effort, but from inspired action. Action that feels right, that moves with ease, that is supported by an intelligence far greater than the conscious mind alone. True fulfillment is not just about material success, it is about alignment with purpose. Many people achieve external success yet feel empty inside because they have ignored the deeper calling of their spirit. The highest form of achievement is not just financial wealth, recognition, or status. It is the realization of one's fullest potential, the expression of one's unique gifts, and the contribution to something greater than oneself. Those who access higher intelligence do not merely accumulate success. They create a life of meaning, purpose, and deep satisfaction. Success is not an external game, it is an internal state. Those who understand this move through life with confidence, guided by a force that others do not even realize exists. The mind, when properly aligned, becomes a magnet for opportunity, a channel for inspiration, and a bridge between the material and the infinite. The journey is not about searching for something outside of oneself, but about awakening to the power that has always been within. Chapter 9. Living in harmony with universal intelligence. There is a natural rhythm that flows through the universe, an intelligence that orchestrates the movement of the stars, the turning of the seasons, and the unfolding of life itself. This intelligence is not something distant or separate from human existence. It is woven into the fabric of reality, guiding and shaping every moment. Those who learn to live in harmony with this intelligence experience a life of clarity, purpose, and effortless synchronicity, while those who resist it find themselves struggling against invisible currents, caught in cycles of confusion and frustration. The choice is not whether this force exists, but whether one chooses to align with it or resist its flow. Many people spend their lives believing that they must control every aspect of their existence, that success, happiness, and fulfillment come only through effort and force. They push, they struggle, they resist change, unaware that by doing so, they are working against the very intelligence that could guide them effortlessly toward what they seek. The mind, conditioned by society to value logic over intuition, often sees surrender as weakness. Yet true mastery comes not from fighting reality, but from understanding its deeper patterns and moving in alignment with them. When one learns to trust in the unseen forces at work, life begins to unfold with a sense of ease, as if an invisible hand is clearing the path forward. The signs of universal intelligence are always present, but they are subtle, often overlooked by those too preoccupied with distractions and worries. Synchronicities, those seemingly coincidental events that carry deep meaning, are not accidents, but signals, guiding nudges from the unseen. A chance encounter, an unexpected opportunity, a problem that resolves itself without effort. These are not random occurrences, but manifestations of a deeper order at play. The more one pays attention to these moments, the more they begin to see that life is not a series of disconnected events, but a perfectly orchestrated flow of experiences designed for growth and expansion. Fear is the greatest barrier to living in harmony with this intelligence. The human mind, conditioned by survival instincts, clings to certainty and control, fearing the unknown. But the unknown is where all possibilities exist. The most extraordinary moments in life, the moments of transformation, of deep realization, of unexpected joy, happen not when everything is meticulously planned, but when one steps into the unknown with trust. Fear constricts, limits, and keeps a person trapped in repetitive cycles, while trust opens doors to experiences that the rational mind could never predict. To live in harmony with universal intelligence is to cultivate a deep inner stillness, a willingness to listen rather than impose, to receive rather than force. The mind, when quieted, becomes an instrument of perception, capable of recognizing the subtle guidance that is always available. Those who practice this level of awareness often speak of a profound sense of peace, a knowing that they are exactly where they need to be, doing exactly what they need to be doing. They no longer chase after success, love, or happiness, because they understand that these things come naturally when one is in alignment with the greater flow of life. Resistance creates suffering. This is a truth that echoes through all spiritual traditions, from the teachings of the Buddha to the wisdom of the Tao. The more one resists change, clings to past regrets, or fears the future, the more they disconnect from the natural intelligence that is always working for their highest good. The universe does not work against anyone. It only responds to the energy that is put out. When a person shifts from fear to trust, from doubt to confidence, from resistance to acceptance, reality itself begins to reflect that transformation. Living in harmony with universal intelligence is not about passivity. It is about inspired action. When a person is attuned to the deeper rhythms of life, they know when to act and when to wait, when to push forward, and when to allow things to unfold naturally. Decisions are no longer made out of desperation or fear, but from a place of deep knowing. There is a natural intelligence within that already understands the path forward, and the more one learns to listen to it, the less they need to rely on external validation or endless analysis. There comes a point on the journey when the mind stops searching for answers outside itself and begins to recognize that everything it has been seeking has always been within. The need for struggle dissolves. The desire to control every outcome fades. In its place emerges a profound trust, a sense of being held and guided by something greater. The universe is not chaotic, it is intelligent, purposeful, and deeply interconnected. Those who learn to align with this intelligence step into a life where synchronicity is the norm, where challenges become opportunities, and where the path ahead reveals itself one step at a time. The greatest lesson is not in mastering the world, but in mastering one's own alignment with it. The intelligence that moves the universe is the same intelligence that moves within each individual. To live in harmony with it is not to acquire something new, but to remember what has always been true, that the mind is a powerful instrument, that reality is malleable, and that life is meant to flow, not to be forced. In this understanding lies the ultimate freedom, the realization that one is never alone, never without guidance, and always connected to a force that is infinitely wise, infinitely loving, and infinitely creative. Conclusion: the awakening within. There comes a moment in every journey when one realizes that the answers they have been searching for were never outside themselves. The wisdom of the universe, the intelligence that guides all things, has always been present, whispering through intuition, revealing itself in moments of clarity, waiting to be acknowledged. Yet, for so long, the noise of the world, the doubts of the mind, and the conditioning of society have drowned out this voice, making it seem distant, elusive, or even non-existent. But it was never absent. It was only waiting to be heard. The journey of connecting with higher intelligence is not about learning something new, but about remembering something ancient. It is about stripping away the layers of fear, doubt, and limitation that have kept you from seeing the truth of who you are. You are not a passive observer of life, nor are you at the mercy of chance or circumstance. You are a co-creator, a being with the power to shape reality, to call upon wisdom beyond the rational mind, and to walk in harmony with the unseen forces that guide existence. Reflect for a moment on everything that has brought you to this point. Every challenge, every moment of uncertainty, every experience that once seemed random or chaotic was leading you here. to a deeper understanding, to a greater awareness of your own potential. Nothing has been wasted. Even the moments of struggle were part of the unfolding, shaping you, preparing you, revealing to you the strength that was always within. Now, as you stand on the threshold of this new awareness, you have a choice. You can continue as before, letting life pull you along without direction, or you can step forward with intention, knowing that you are guided, knowing that you are connected to something far greater than yourself. The universe is not silent. It speaks through signs, through synchronicities, through sudden insights that seem to arrive from nowhere. It speaks through the quiet pull of intuition, the feeling that something is right even when logic says otherwise. It speaks through the deep knowing that some paths are meant for you, even when you cannot yet see where they lead. The more you listen, the clearer these messages become. The more you trust, the more effortlessly life unfolds. This is not the end of the journey. In many ways, it is only the beginning. You now have the tools, the understanding, and the awareness to move forward with a new sense of purpose. The mind is no longer an obstacle but a bridge. The unseen is no longer a mystery but an ally. The intelligence that moves the universe is the same intelligence that moves within you. And the more you align with it, the more you will come to realize that life is not something to be feared or controlled, but something to be embraced with trust, curiosity, and an open heart. Take a moment to breathe in this truth. Feel it not just as an idea, but as a knowing deep within. You are not lost. You are not alone. You are part of something vast, something limitless, something infinitely wise. The path ahead is open, waiting for you to walk it with courage, with awareness, and with the quiet confidence of one who knows they are always being guided. The awakening has already begun. The only question now is how far you are willing to go.